Salam sehat Sobat Diri Bali. Jumpa lagi dengan saya Tirka Widanti dalam acara Chit Chat is Meets West. Kita menghadirkan teman-teman dari mancanegara yang berkunjung ke Bali. Mari kita sambut teman kita yang satu ini. Beliau adalah Niki Barnes. Selamat pagi, Niki.
Selamat pagi, Tirka.
How are you?
I'm good. Good.
Welcome back. Welcome back to Bali.
Thank you. It's really lovely to be back, I must say. It's been a little while, but it's really lovely to be back.
Yeah. So, Niki, tell me, what do you make always back to Bali?
There is something about Bali. I think the first time I came to Bali, it was just on a holiday. I'd never been to Bali before, and so I did the whole Seminyak Kuta beach thing. But it was a time in my life where it was fairly unsettled, and Bali just has this calming, peaceful effect on people. And so that was my first experience, and that was about 10 years ago. I was living in Darwin at the time.
In Darwin?
Yeah, it's a good place.
Where
you were. And I was lecturing in the university at Charles Darwin University, and some of the people there had connections. One of them was you in education, and because I came back just so entranced with the tourist side of Bali that I thought I want to work here too. So I was able to use that connection at the uni to start to meet people in Bali who are actually working here, and I got to see a totally different side of Bali. It didn't diminish what I'd experienced. It was a wonderful first experience, but it was still just the surface touristy experience. After that, I got to see the real Bali and the real people, and I'm still learning. Every time I come back, I learn something more.
Yeah. Okay. So, Niki, at first, what was your image about Bali? What is Bali? Where is Bali? And how is Bali? I mean, what was your first image about Bali?
So my first image before I had come was that it was a tourist place.
Tourist place.
And that was it. And I actually wasn't too interested in visiting Bali at that point of time.
Oh my God!
Because I didn't want to do the whole tourist thing. And I could see on the telly, you know, the Kuta, the big partying, the beaches, and that didn't attract me.
Because
our age, partly our age, but a lot of it was. I like to go away, and if I can have a good book on a beach and nobody disturbing me, that's my idea of a holiday. So the big party, the party place of Bali wasn't attracting me, and that's all I'd seen. I don't know why I ended up coming here. I think it was because it was close, and at that stage it was really cheap to come to Bali, to fly over to Bali as well.
Very cheap to come to Bali, so please come to Bali. Anyway, because we are close. Bali and Darwin is only 2.5
hours flight. And you can pick up some really good deals on the odd occasion, so if you keep an eye out. So after that experience, and when I got here, it was just different. I didn't stay in Kuta. I stayed a little bit further up the coast at Seminyak. I stayed in a hotel that was more Balinese than it was Western, and it was just lovely. The people were smile. Nobody doesn't smile over here, and even if, like, I saw some really terrible things of tourists treating Balinese people really badly, and I didn't like that at all. And I would step in where I could. But the Balinese people still kept smiling, and they still wanted to welcome you and to make sure that you thought their country and their culture was a beautiful thing.
How do you feel that?
How do I watch their faces, and even if they're upset, it is still this smile. And I feel that it's this heart thing. The Balinese people have a real heart for them, their country, and for their culture, and for each other. And that's the part, so they share that with everybody else. And so people automatically feel comfortable being here. Yeah.
So your image, your first image from the uncertain tourist area and proper tourist place.
Yeah.
If I may summarize that.
Yeah,
okay.
That's exactly it.
Nikki,
got a butterfly.
Butterfly welcoming us. Nikki, I heard that you have been at the education world for about 35 years.
Yeah, a long time.
A long time. Means that our age is more than 65 years old.
Makes me old.
Okay. Tell me more about that one. Yeah.
Education. So I started off teaching as a secondary teacher. I taught in the design and technology, food technology, textiles, computing area, and I did that for about 20 years. And then I could see in Australian schools there was something wrong. There's something missing, and the kids, we were so focused on just teaching kids content that we forget about the kids. And for me, education is a relationship. It's not about just handing over knowledge to somebody else. It's about developing a relationship with kids so that they can learn and love what you know as well.
Yeah.
And so for the first 25 years there was sort of this little questioning, but I went back and did a PhD then, and I was working with an organisation called Youth Off the Streets, and they work with kids who are abused, who are drug addicted, who are homeless, who they're street kids.
In Australia?
In Australia. And I think what I learnt from that was the absolute beauty of these kids and how they just deserved a chance.
Yeah.
And so that's what I started teaching in. So when I finished my PhD, I started lecturing in what we call inclusion and special needs in Australia.
Inclusi. Yeah. We call it in Bahasa Indonesia, inclusi. You say it in English, inclusion.
Yeah.
So similar.
So it's partly about working with kids who have disability and trying to help them get an education, but it's also a lot about being able to see everybody as equal regardless of what they bring.
Everybody is equal.
Yeah.
That is keywords. Everybody is equal. And everybody can be teachers in the same time becomes students too.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you never stop learning. That's a really good point.
Forever learning.
Yep.
Yeah.
So even as a teacher, we are always learning as well, which is lovely. And
we are learning from our students.
And even having done a PhD, you think, you've got doctor in front of your name, and that's really important. But the big thing it taught me is that I know a lot about very little. Yeah.
Know a lot about very little. So that is very important.
Yeah. And so continuing to learn, and I love learning, and a lot of people don't, and that's
I do
that's
too.
fine. But we love learning, so we keep doing it, and we do it in different ways.
Makes our face looks young.
Yep, keeps us young, keeps the brain working. So it's good. And so then a lot of the lecturing and the research and things that I've been doing.
Lecturing and researching
has been about what it is that we need to do to include others. And so that's primarily in education, but it's also in society because we exclude lots of people.
So to say is that education is the base, and what is if we relate this education to others. Mine like education to the tourism, for example, like this.
And it levels the playing field for everybody because we can see everybody as being the same as us. So we might have different jobs that put us in a hierarchy, but it also helps to level the playing field so that we can treat each other equally.
Yeah.
And I know your work with women.
Women in Bali.
is the same.
Okay, that is very interesting what you have been doing so far for more than 35 years in education, doing the research, combining between the education and others. What is the challenge that you have been facing so far?
A lot of the challenge is, I think about our institutions. They are so big and so cumbersome that it's really hard to promote change. And I think
so to say, it's not agile. It's not agile to.
You can't just manipulate and change it in ways.
The bureaucracy is very long, very big.
So it's in breadth as well as in depth. So the things like, you know, the processes we have to go through that can sometimes block change. You know, in Australia we were looking at some of the street kids, and in one of our states there is laws that actually prevent you from helping kids not have to sleep on the street. The laws are there to be able to protect the kids from people who mightn't have good intentions for them, but it also stops good people from being able to help them. So it's those sort of things that we need to be really aware of when we're working with people who need help.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that to me and especially to Sobat Dari Bali. Kita sudah banyak sekali ya mendengarkan sharingnya dari Ibu Nikki Barnes mengenai bagaimana hubungan antara pendidikan dengan departemen lainnya dan juga pendidikan dengan beberapa penelitian yang beliau lakukan. Tadi saya lupa ya bahwa kita menyambut tahun baru Imlek ini di bulan Februari. Jadi di bulan Februari yang penuh kasih ya, kita akan menyambut tahun baru Imlek, kemudian juga selamat buat teman-teman yang merayakan. Begitu juga bulan cinta kasih ya, bulan Februari, dan yang paling besar adalah Pesta Demokrasi yang sebentar lagi kita akan lakukan di tanggal 14 Februari 2024. Semoga NKRI selalu jaya, selalu bersemangat ya. Kita semua masyarakat Indonesia diberikan kesehatan dan juga kelancaran dalam merayakan Pesta Demokrasi tersebut. Oke, kita lanjut lagi ya bincang-bincang kita dengan Ibu Nikki. Nikki, now I would like to talk about your opinion about Bali now. Go back to Bali.
Oh, coming back to Bali. So I've been coming back for 10 years.
For 10 years now.
This will be my 10th anniversary.
10th anniversary.
Trip to back
2014
to
to 2024. So now you are celebrating your 10th anniversary going and back from Australia to Bali. And what makes you coming back?
Part of it was as part of my education role and as my research role, I have a PhD student here who I've been helping.
Wow.
But the other part of it is this amazing place. And I've needed, personally, a time of healing.
Healing.
Yeah. And Bali just
does that. A place for healing. Bali is a place for healing.
And Bali has a very spiritually deep culture, and the people live it. In Western culture, it's a very separate thing. Our spirituality, if we choose to live it, is very separate from our work and our other part of culture.
It's a different culture. Yeah.
So the culture,
you see
here
that our
is
culture
lived.
is
that spirituality is lived.
Butterfly is always coming.
Likes us.
Yeah.
And so coming back and just being in the beauty of it, the place itself is beautiful. So even if it's the beaches are gorgeous and they're quiet at this time of year, a little bit quieter than other times of the year. But we can be up here at Songbook, and it's in the mountains.
We will see the holy spring water.
Yeah. And it's settled, it's peaceful, it's calming, and it's healing. And
Tell me the truth.
Yeah.
What is different? What do you see that is different from 10 years ago?
Now, it's probably a little quieter, but only a little bit. I imagine that's because of COVID and some of just last time I was over here, Mount Agung had erupted and there were earthquakes going, and that impacts on Bali and tourists wanting to come to Bali. So it's slightly quieter. I think the difference is in my perception. 10 years ago I was just the tourist. Now I have friends. And I visit friends who have been unbelievably wonderful to me.
And will live in Bali, are going to live in Bali.
Yeah. So that depth of experience with Balinese people and who they are and what they're willing to share is just amazing.
Connected. This connection is very important.
Yeah. And it doesn't take much to build that. You just have to listen, and you just have to be willing to be open to what Bali's got to offer. So, and the people in particular, because it's the people that make Bali.
Of course. Well, what else I would like to ask you about? Do you see that Bali, other than tourism, do you see that Bali is a potential for others?
Oh yes. I can see
education, for example.
Education. One of the things that I really wanted to do in this last 10 years was and a very Western understanding and very poor understanding on my behalf, was that I could help with education. I think what I've come to learn over 10 years is that the Balinese people actually know what they need and know what they want, and they know how to get it. I can support them doing that. Just because I have knowledge in a particular area, I can help that. But the Balinese people are the people that can and should be doing that. So in education, that's a really, that's my area, so I can help.
Our area.
Yeah.
So maybe.
So I can help there. But it's also shifted, so I'm not just a tourist anymore. I'm a somebody who's passionate about what happens for Balinese people.
For the future of Bali.
Yeah.
For the better future of Bali. Yes.
And the potential is there.
Potential is there. Yeah.
Balinese people are very entrepreneurial, and they get things done. And if you can tap into that, things happen. People can make things happen. And so the potential for those things to happen is really, it's just unlimited. So,
let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Okay. This is maybe last question. Last but not least. What is your hope for Bali from now to, let's say, another 1 or 2 decades?
Yeah. I think my hope for Bali would be to continue, because they already do quite a bit in terms of that environmental thing, so
to continue the environmental.
That approach, so all that research in solar and being able to clean up the beaches and that sort of thing, which is a lot of the tourists contribute so much to. So looking at that sort of area, I think that can grow and can be a leader because of the intensity of the amount of people that come to Bali. There's actually potential to do some really big changes and see the impacts really quickly. I think in terms of education, for me, my dream would be to set up a research institute over here and be able to develop research potential. And
Let's do that.
Yes.
research center. Research institution.
So I think at the moment there's sort of limited
for
understanding
the library. Library and also what it is called research, not library, laboratory. Laboratory for the research.
Both science and in social research. I think sometimes, how do I say this? Sometimes our social research is very constructed by our culture.
Yeah.
And so it's from my area of research and my theoretical framework, it says we question everything. And so when I do my research, I question my own culture, and I question other people's culture and other people's understandings and my own understandings.
And always getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
And just bringing other perspectives
dynamic.
in.
Dynamic.
So it becomes this dialogue rather than a closed door that you can't get beyond. And so being able to set up a research institute that opens those doors and opens up the dialogues, it will be really exciting.
I will nail this research institution. I will nail. Okay, so thank you very much, Nikki. Thank you very much for making this happen, and especially Sunday morning that you're supposed to be having holiday, but thanks for doing this. So once again, welcome back to Bali, welcome back to our family, and then we nail it about the research institution.
Unbelievable. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Baiklah, Sobat Diri Bali, kita sudah berbincang santai dengan Ibu Nikki Barnes, seorang educator, seorang researcher yang sejak 10 tahun ini coming and going. Jadi datang dan pergi ke Bali dan Australia. Beliau sangat menyintai banyak hal menurut beliau yang bisa dilakukan di dunia pendidikan dan juga dengan masyarakat Bali. Kita tunggu ya apa aksi-aksi dari pikiran-pikiran beliau yang beliau telah sampaikan. Terima kasih dan sampai jumpa dengan Chit Chat berikutnya. Salam semangat selalu dan salam sehat.